Hello, this is Jamie, and this is Supplier News. For today's topic, we will be talking about Diversity Inc.'s new top 50 companies for diversity, as well as a couple of other points when it comes to different states and how they have recently supported small and diverse businesses. But before we get into it, as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click on the like button if you like the video, leave a comment, and share with other people you think may be interested in this content. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First up, we're going to be talking about the well-regarded Diversity Inc. top 50 companies for diversity. Now, every year, Diversity Inc. releases this list. In addition, they also have a smaller list where they cover more specific pieces within diversity, but this is very well regarded, and it's always interesting to note, who they have at the top of their list. So, the first thing I want to kind of talk about is the methodology, and then we'll get into the actual, top 50 companies themselves. But as you can see here, just on the first couple of paragraphs, the survey is the most extensive data-driven analysis, gauging detailed demographics based on race, ethnicity, and gender at some of the largest U.S. employers, all in an effort to benchmark organizations' programs, practices, policies, and outcomes to hire, retain, develop, and promote women, people of color, people with disabilities, LGBTQ, and veteran employees. So, more so that kind of workforce diversity. However, they also take a look at external pieces such as, supplier diversity and philanthropy. Once again, all in an effort to understand who has the most complete program within their organization when it comes to supporting diversity. Now, a couple of pieces that you do have to do in order to qualify. So there were 1,800 companies that applied for this. As you can see here, you have to first fill out more than 200 questions talking about your company. And then in addition to that, they do have a couple of eligible lists. So for example, you have to have at least 750 U.S. employees. Enter your, for the online survey, submit a notarized form signed by either CEO, Chief Human Resource Officer, etc., as well as, a couple of other pieces that you have to do. So once you complete that, you will qualify to be considered. Once again, 1,800 companies did go through this process, and in the end, 50 were selected. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at who were the top 50. So as you can see here, 2021 top 50 companies for diversity list, and let's go straight to the top. Hilton. So, first and foremost, congratulations to Hilton for being considered the #1 company for diversity. But right below Hilton, we have Accenture, Eli Lilly, Abbott, MasterCard, Comcast, NBC Universal, Toyota, ADP, TIAA, and the Hershey Company. So that makes up your top 10 list. As you can see, one of the really good things about this is that they're in a lot of different industries, right? So you're not just seeing one or two industries just kind of take over everything in the top 10. They're from a lot of different places, which really shows you that, if you are committed to diversity, regardless of what industry you're in, you can really make it happen if you so choose. I won't go through all of the other lists, but through the list itself, but you can see other organizations that met this piece as well. So, congratulations to them, all within the top 50. So it's broken down by 10 in each one. And if you want to see more information about each company, you can always click here. So this information is included on DiversityInc.com. It's on the front page, actually. All you have to do is scroll down, and it'll show you the list. So, in addition to the top 50, I also want to talk about a couple other pieces. Number one, additional 2021 noteworthy companies. So, did not make the top 50. However, Diversity Inc. did want to consider them as well. So, congratulations to these companies too. Goes a little bit more further into the piece that we talked about in terms of, what were the metrics based on. But lastly, they also talk about their 2021 specialty lists, right? So these lists are typically, about 10 or 15 companies where they highlight more specific pieces. So such as, who are the top companies for board of directors, philanthropy, sponsorship, for breaking down by ethnicity. They also do that as well. ESG, things like that. Since this podcast is a supplier diversity and small business podcast, we will also be taking a look at the top companies for supplier diversity. So there are 12. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the top 12. So as you can see here, again, these are the top 12. Kaiser Permanente, Abbott, Medtronic, AT&T, etc., all the way out. The first piece that I want to note, obviously you have a lot of companies that were already in the top 50 for diversity on this list as well. So congratulations for being on multiple lists. But in addition, once again, these are companies from multiple industries, right? Whether it be, health, entertainment, automotive, consulting. They all really make up this list, right? So what this tells me is, once again, if you're a business and you're looking to do, win a contract or get an opportunity to win a contract, then you have a lot of different options in multiple industries, right? Really, it seems like really when it comes to like consulting and health for sure. So maybe that may be something that you want to focus on. However, with that being said, I do want to kind of highlight some of the pieces that you should be aware of if you are a small business. And that is, while these companies are obviously support supplier diversity, which is, good for them, just keep in mind that it will be a lot harder to get into these companies versus other ones, right? Typically, when you're dealing with these type of companies, you will have to have years of experience. So not just, 6 months and then kind of going to these companies and saying, hey, I'm a startup. Take a look at what I have. You may want to build your experience, get customers before you go to these guys. But if you are able to do that and go to these guys, we're talking about opportunities where, you could be winning 6-figure contracts if you're, prepared to service them correctly. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're going out. But once again, congratulations to these organizations, and definitely take a look at these companies' websites and see if there's any opportunities for you. All right. Next up, NBC will no longer air Golden Globes in 2022 for the lack of diversity. Now, DiversityInc, like that was coming through my inbox a ton of times, so I feel like I had to talk about that. While the list was released May 6th, over the past couple of weeks, specifically last week, a ton of information on it, and I wanted to talk about it now. When it comes to this piece, once again, this was also probably the second most by far. When it comes to my inbox, just keep getting information about it. So currently, basically, Golden Globes was, received tons of backlash for its lack of diversity. Not only with NBC, but a lot of organizations that were sponsoring it, as well as the people who have like actors that have that were winning awards, as well as that have something to do with the award show itself. So because of that, NBC has now said that they will not air the show next year. That is a rough blow to the Golden Globes. They did announce that they can't consider it for 2023. So it's not all lost, but once again, due to the backlash, this is essentially what happened. As you can see here, there were also reports that the selection of winners was secret and corrupt, and that awards can be bought with press junkets. Right? That's terrible. Its chairwoman admitted that the committee had not had a black member since 2002. I mean, there's really no words for that. It kind of speaks for itself. Really makes you question the Golden Globes, and this whole industry when it comes to awards has always been a lot of questions around it. Obviously, whenever you see people win certain awards, but this kind of just confirms what many people thought, and hopefully they're able to assess what they've done and do a better job moving forward. But definitely kind of wanted to speak to this because it was everywhere. You probably have questions if you are a person who follows this type of information within diversity. Okay. Next up, the impact of remote work on small business lending. So this is, as in 2020 and 2021, because of the pandemic, tons and tons of people had to work remotely. One of the benefits that we saw actually is there was always this conception that, or misconception now that we know, that hey, if you allow people to work from home, their productivity will go down. Well, based on the pandemic, we found out that was just not true. People can work from home and do their jobs and everything, still move as efficiently as possible. So what this article basically talks about is more so that small business lending now has to account for that, right? So in the past, if you wanted to lend, you kind of have to do that face-to-face, speak in person, and then kind of do lending that way. Or maybe you had to, call someone in order to learn more about lending and to do that. So what this essentially article is promoting is more online type of lending opportunities where people can log on and, based off the information that they have, receive lending that way. And I 100% agree with that. I do think that is the next wave, and that's where we're moving much more to a digital space where you can be okayed for upcoming loans and whatnot. Not just, you can do that with personal loans now. Well, you do have some type to have some type of interface with some loans, but what we're now seeing and what may be happening in the future is that we could see, 70-80%. As you can see here, another study, Cisco found that 72% of small businesses accelerate their digital transformation, I should say, in 2020. So if companies are transforming themselves this much digitally, these online applications are going to have to match that. So we can see tons of different digital transformation when it comes to banks and online lending over the course of the next couple of years. Obviously, there's companies like a PayPal that already do this, but now that we're talking about banks that could potentially reach that type of efficiency, it's going to be very interesting as we move forward. So definitely take a look, keep this in mind. Small business lending may change as more companies get used to this type of lending, and I just see it as nothing but growing. All right, last couple of articles here. Number one, I want to focus more so with states. As you can see here, this is about Illinois utilities. So we spoke about this previously, about how much they spent over the past couple of years. So this just talks about the GDP impact that they've had on the state of Illinois. And as you can see, with an over 11 billion GDP impact. So congratulations to these companies, especially for the state of Illinois and what they were able to do. Whether it be spending, whether it be they've been supporting over 20,000 employees over the past couple of years. This is really big news. And as you can see, if you're able to invest in certain communities, it will have a benefit in terms of your impact. So I've spoken about this previously. I also wrote a couple articles about the Illinois Utilities Group. I believe there's 7 companies, organizations, and how they were able to do. So this is just kind of furthering that. I just wanted to kind of highlight that really quickly. Last piece, since we're still talking about states, is New York State. So they've included a $1 billion small business relief package in their state budget. They also kind of break it down here. So the initiatives for small businesses included in the upcoming state budget are the following: $800 million for a pandemic small business recovery grant. So that's for everyone, as well as specific types of grants for, as you can see here, restaurant resilience, arts and cultural organizations, musical and theatrical productions, and then restaurant return to work credit. So in addition to having $800 million for everyone, they do focus on certain pieces in an effort to help support those businesses that were most affected when it comes to the pandemic. So just more opportunities. Grants are always really good because you don't have to pay them back. So it's basically free money. So definitely, if you're in the state of New York, reach out, see if you can apply and win some of these opportunities that are coming up. So, okay, definitely just wanted to inform everyone about that as we're moving forward. So with that being said, that kind of ends the articles for today. As always, thank you so much for listening in. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, and share with other people you think may be interested in this information. All right, with that being said, thank you so much and have a great day.